What's wrong with this image? Why, it's a wedding photograph taken by Scott Copeland in New Zealand. And we all know that in New Zealand they drink copious amounts of beer and they like to have ginormous megaphone speakers hidden in the grass around wedding parties. Just like this. Look, the beer here in the grass, and here's that giant megaphone. So Scott gave me this original image, and he challenged me to get rid of the megaphone speaker in the grass and the copious amounts of beer. Well, this was a challenge to Dr. Brown. So in this tutorial from the Russell Brown Show, I'm going to demonstrate how I did this. Now let's throw away these two layers. In fact, it was two layers that I used to create this illusion that the speaker was gone and the beer was gone. Now I quickly found out that the Content Aware Fill feature, and of course this new feature called the Spot Healing Brush, did not work well on the speaker. However, I do know that I can use the beer bottle removal tool, I mean the healing brush tool in this case, to get rid of the beer. Let's check this out. Just like that. So the beer is gone. There's a little bit of distortion, but I'm not going to see that problem. However, let's take a look at the speaker. Let's use the classic technique of making a nice selection around the speaker, and let's try and get rid of this with the Content Aware Fill feature. We select it, we target the layer, we use the Shift-Delete key combination to delete that and select Content Aware. Click OK. And through the magic of technology and science, it creates something that's really ugly. So Content Aware Fill does not always work on complex patterns like this. So let's undo that, and let's now use a special patented technique to get rid of this. First of all, I'm going to create a new layer by clicking here at the base of my Layers tabbed panel. Create New Layer. Next, I'm going to select my Clone Stamp tool, as you see here. But check this out. I'm adjusting the mode to lighten. That's right. As I use this Clone Stamp tool, I only want to lighten those areas, and in this case, it's the dark values found in this speaker. Selecting Lighten. I go into position, and I increase the brush size with my close bracket on my keyboard about that size. I have a relatively soft brush. Now, one of the biggest problems with this project is that there's a gradient that goes from light on this side to a darker blue on this side, and that's what we have to mimic or duplicate in order to get rid of the speaker. Let's zoom in for a close-up. Holding down my Option or my Alt key, I'm going to sample in this area right here. Then drop into this area of the speaker. Remember, we have it set for lighten, and if I click, I can start to lighten those pixels which are darker than the surrounding pixels I'm painting with. Cool. So I'm just clicking and going through. Some of the grass remains behind, but that's okay. Just like this. Just get rid of those areas, and if you see any edge, go back in and lighten. Pick up the surrounding values and bring them in, because we want the gradient to go here from this right hand side to the left hand side. Go back in again, click again, because I don't want to see any repeating of these shapes. I don't want it obvious what I'm doing. Only go up to the edge of your speaker and change your brush size if you need to on a project like this, but our goal is to hide it with the surrounding pattern and shade of background. Okay, Scott's going, I don't get it, Russ. This technique is not going to work. Okay, that looks interesting. We want the shades to move from the lighter values here to the darker values there. I go back in and I can paint in. Remember, I'm painting with lighten. Okay, what's next? We have this layer that blocks it out and puts in a gradient. Next, when in doubt, cover it up. Yes, that's right. When in doubt, cover it up. Select your lasso tool, and let's go in and make a selection. I'm going to select down here into the grass, and I'm going to go all the way up here, and I'm going to move in the direction of the grass, and I want all the little tips of the grass. I'm going to click right out there on that tip, and I'm going to come back down here like this, avoid my speaker, and come back down just like that, so I have a selection. Target my background as you see here. Go to my layer menu and select New Layer via Copy, just like that. And I can move this with my Move tool. I've targeted the layer and I can move it over and cover this up. But not only that, I have that area that I created earlier, the gradient. So I'm going to put the gradient behind my new grass so I have something to fill in. I've covered it up. Now here comes the amazing magic. Target this top layer, the layer of the grass. We're going to set this layer blend mode to darken. We want to darken the grass in. Okay, that looks good. Just like that. And then here's the trick. Double click on this layer right here, right in this blue space right here. And by doing that, you bring up your layer style dialog. And this is one of my favorites for doing complex masking. It's cheating. That's right. Blend if. Now don't use gray. Narrow this down to the colors that you need to extract. We want to extract red values in the RGB space. I'm going to move this a little bit to the left here, and then I'm going to split this triangle in half with the Option or Alt key. Did you see that? I held the Option or Alt key down, split it, and watch what happens to the shades of blue. But the grass remains behind. Wow, Scott's going, this is interesting, Russ. But can you pull this off? Do that. The blue. Do the same thing. Split the blue apart. Now look, you can go a little bit too far. You can start to adjust this. Balance this out right. That looks pretty good. Yeah, so that's starting to work. We click OK. But then Scott says, what about this line down here? And you use your transform on this, Command or Control T. And then you can readjust that around till you get it to cover up the areas that you want it to cover up, and it blends down in here. Even Scott's impressed. Let's zoom back out and check this out. Wow. Now that is the way to mask without masking. Cover it up whenever possible. Okay, there you go. The wedding party has been saved. Give it a try.